late breaking.
You didn't think that I was going to be talking about this Nickelodeon drama, didn't you? Well, let's dive into it, because there's been a lot of messed up things that I've been hearing about this network over the last few days since the documentary Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV has been released out to the public by Investigation Discovery. It's been talking about the messed up things about what Dan Schneider did and the many predators that Nickelodeon has brought on to an actual set with children, right? And a lot of people are pointing fingers at Dan Schneider, and rightfully so, but you also need to point fingers at the network, because there are a lot of kids like Jeanette McCurdy, Amanda Bynes, Drake Bell going through downward spirals because of their experiences at Nickelodeon. They have been traumatized by predators such as Brian Peck. So we're going to get into it. Nickelodeon has been hiding a lot of dark secrets behind the scenes over the last few decades. You know what I'm saying? And now it is time to stop hiding and let's open up the curtain. And we're finally getting that. So I feel bad for all the kids, but there's a few people who've been making jokes about it. There have been a lot of iconic shows, but they will never be the same anymore because of this documentary about the behind the scenes, because our childhood is officially ruined. Because Brian Peck was actually the first one to be convicted, and Dan Schneider was quote unquote crying in front of a jury due to these charges being brought up. Drake Bell didn't come out and tell the story until just now. And now we know everything about what's happened at Nickelodeon. That's why they're going through a downfall, and that is why Cartoon Network is better. All right. There's Disclassless, okay? Because they're Disclassless, and then they just made an entire joke about the whole Drake Bell interview. They made an entire joke about it. After the clip that from that documentary got released, the cast of Ned's Disclassified made an entire joke about it. Ned and his little homeboy Cookie made jokes about it. And that is why nobody watches this show at all, because this show is trash. And it's been trash since it first hit the air, and that's why it got canceled. What sense does that make for you to make something light of a traumatic event? It doesn't matter if you didn't know or not. It doesn't matter if you didn't see the documentary or not. You gotta understand, that is a dirty joke. And you shouldn't have taken light of that at all. At all. No excuses. That's why your show is trash. Y'all must be trash people, because this tops the cake. You don't do that. Do better. And take some accountability. Actually release an apology. Because this ain't it, brother. This ain't it. Your little podcast response, I'm not buying it at all. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Let's talk about Dan Schneider's response. All I heard was just absolute utter bull. Utter bull. And he decided to come out with an interview as soon as the allegations were made to light. That is why Nickelodeon let go of you after so many years, because they were probably afraid, because you had all the power. You had all this power, and now once you don't have the power, you're just stuck. You're just stuck in a dark cloud. You're stuck in a room by yourself. You have to deal with all these stories being leaked out to the public. Jeanette McCurdy was the first one to actually talk about this during our memoir, but people didn't listen. But now, Jeanette McCurdy deserves an apology from everybody, a lot of us, because we all thought that Jeanette McCurdy was the crazy one. You know, and I feel bad for some of the actors who had legacies at Nickelodeon who had to be put through the same thing, because for many years Dan has gotten away with a lot of stuff, like having inappropriate jokes in the shows, doing inappropriate things to underage girls. A lot of stuff he should have been put on the sex offenders list for, or at least in jail. Shoot. absolutely disturbing. Here are my final thoughts. I'm thinking that Nickelodeon's not even going to be a channel anymore because they're going to have to cancel everything. From the Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Awards, a lot of shows, because the legacy at Nickelodeon, it's pretty much finished. And we have to hold the network accountable for bringing all these predators in. I don't see Nickelodeon lasting very long because we're going to see a lot of lawsuits, more stories, this, that, and the other. Because you don't know what these people have been through. And I feel absolutely bad for the entire people at Nickelodeon, especially the front people. Y'all need to be held accountable because you allowed Dan Schneider to do all this stuff for many years and y'all didn't say anything. Y'all just stood by and watched. And it's going to be pretty much soon that more people are going to come out. More people are going to say how terrible that place was. It might be even worse than ESPN because all they do is just sit in front of the camera and argue and scream at each other all the time. But that's a different talk for a different day. But Nickelodeon, you're pretty much finished.